From fight scenes being inspired by iconic movies to characters coming from real mythology, this is every single in real life reference in Jujutsu Kaisen, starting off with Miguel vs Gojo. Do you remember that iconic Gojo beatdown on Miguel? I remember seeing all the memes saying that it was racially motivated. Like, that fight was different. The 5 seconds that it lasted was peak. But what I didn't actually know until researching this video is that it's actually inspired by the movie Ip Man, which is a Hong Kong movie from 2008. And the Ip Man is actually a real life person, some Wing Chun master who taught Bruce Lee later on in life. It's quite an iconic movie apparently, and like just the clear comparisons between the scene. Even the colors are similar, with the Imp Man being in black and Gojo being in like black or like purplish colors, and then Miguel and then the opponent in the movie also being in white. But yeah, this is just a clear homage to martial arts using this iconic martial arts movie by Gege. So really cool, but this is definitely not going to be the last time that he does something like this in the series. Also in the Jujutsu Kaisen movie Zero was another very interesting reference, and this is when we find out that Gojo and Yuta are actually distant relatives.
家計の調査を依頼した。理科の方は随分昔に終了してたけど、ユータの方はザルもいいとこだったからね。それで判明したんだけど、君、菅原道真の子孫だった。超遠縁だけど僕の親戚。菅。
And then after Gojo says this, you can see Panda, Maki, and Toge's reaction is they're all like, what the hell? Now, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if this will play a more important piece later down the line. But what I do know is that one of the reasons why their reaction is like this is because Sugawara is actually a real person. In Japan, he's one of the 3 vengeful spirits. So basically, Sugawara was a famous poet, scholar, and politician from the mid-800s to early 900s. But basically what happened was that he was actually betrayed by his students and killed. But then after his death, loads of lightning strikes and plagues and disease hit Japan at the court where he used to work. And it was believed that this was because of his angry spirit. As a result, to appease him, he was then deified as Tenjin, which is now the god of learning. And to this day, Japanese students, before exams, they will go give an offering to Tenjin, the god of learning. Quite cool, because it kind of shows that like Gojo, Yuta, like these like elite special grade sorcerers, their lineage is like steeped in like mythology and like powerful creatures. So very cool. Okay, so now that is everything for the movie. Now I want to do this in chronological order, starting off with season 1. And quite similar to Gojo and Yuta's lore is Sukuna lore, who's also steeped in mythology himself. In episode 2 of season 1, Gojo kind of talks first about Sukuna, giving a bit of his backstory and who Sukuna was back in the day.
やっぱこいつ有名なの？両面宿儺は腕が4本、顔が2つある仮想の鬼神。だがそいつは実在した人間だよ。1000年以上前の話だけどね。呪術全盛の時代。術師が総力を挙げて彼に挑み敗れた。スクナの名を冠し。
What's interesting is that the name Roman Sukuna is actually a real thing. It's mentioned in Japan's oldest text, which is called the Nihon Shoki, which was written around 720 AD. In this historical, really old book, Sukuna is described as a strange, almost supernatural creature with 2 faces and 4 arms, which is exactly how his final form is, right, in the show. What's kind of interesting is that depending on the tradition, he's either seen as like some big tyrant, some big monster who would just go around and kill people. But in the Hida region, he's actually seen as kind of like a local hero because he fought dragons, which is kind of interesting. It kind of shows the duality of it. Maybe that's the kind of infer, you know, Yuji and Sukuna both in the same body. But yeah, very cool. I'll be honest, I really do like basing the characters in mythology because it kind of makes them feel more real and just give them more depth. So overall, really cool. Now in season 1 there was also like a lot of like breaking of the fourth wall, where they would use references from real life, just like little things. So for example, obviously the most infamous one is when Yuji said what his type is.
ケツとタッパのでかい女の子かな。ジェニファー・ローレンスとか。
Also when he made references to other different animes, especially when he found out he didn't have any powers. 今は使えないだけ。 Another obvious one is when he was trying to learn cursed energy in the first season, and you see him watching some anime version of Lord of the Rings. But the coolest one for me, I can't lie, is definitely in episode 9, where there's like a brief homage to Oikawa from Haikyuu. They just have this random like cardboard cut of him in the background when Nanami's coming through. It just kind of shows, I think, one, that they appreciate these other animes and other shows, but also again it adds a really nice level of realism, right? Despite all the craziness in the show, it kind of makes it feel like these characters operate in our real world. Okay, but moving on to season 2, and this is where a lot of fight scenes definitely get inspiration from famous movies and also famous animes, and one of these is Toji, right? So to start, Toji's beatdown on Geto, one has inspiration from Mikasa's kick in Attack on Titan, and also when he's fighting Geto, it's also very similar to Levi fighting the Kenny crew in Attack on Titan again. I feel like this is very cool because, bro, like Toji, Mikasa, Levi, those would be the exact same characters they switch in universe, you know what I mean? Like, because 100% if Toji was in AOT, he would be an Ackerman, and if Maki and Levi were in AOT, they would be a Zenin 100%. But what's cooler is the fact that in real life, the inverted spear of heaven, you know, the spear that Toji uses that breaks the curse techniques that he actually stabbed Gojo with, is actually a real thing too in Japanese mythology. It's called the Amene no Sakakoko, which I fucking butchered. It basically translates to heavenly upside down spear, and it's this legendary spear which the twin gods Izanagi and Izumi used to basically calm the primordial chaos and then create the earth with it. And then after this, the spear was then given to a different god, and then who thrust it into Mount Takicho no Mine, where it is to this day. That's where we got this photo from. Even the bloody weapons have mythical lore behind them, which I think is just elite writing. Now, moving on to one of my favorite fight scenes, and some of you probably know this, but this is the Chozo vs Yuji fight, which is heavily inspired from the Indonesian movie Raid 2. Now, Raid 2 is one of the most iconic movies because it has amazing hand-to-hand combat, and also it doesn't have any dialogue in the fight scenes. This creates like super intense. Like, I've never watched this movie, but when I was watching these clips, I was like, okay, cool, I can understand why it's so popular. I mean, literally from the way that they even pull up, like, it's between this guy called the Assassin and then the main character Rama. When they pull up on each other, no words are exchanged. Everybody just leaves. It's the coldest shit, and then it's just straight hands. This fight in particular, this kitchen fight scene between Rama and the Assassin, is considered one of the greatest fight scenes in just cinema history. So again, it's just no surprise that Gege is paying homage by kind of replicating the same style in the Yuji vs Chozo fight. Now, what's very interesting is that season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen also took a lot of inspiration from My Hero Academia. Now, look, personally, I've watched quite a lot of My Hero Academia, but it's not my favorite. I feel like it's a bit childish. I'm probably gonna get flamed for that in the comments, but anyways, moving on. So one example of this inspiration is Todo's Black Flash being very similar to Deku and All Might's joint punch, but the other one, which is way more similar for sure, is the Sukuna versus Maharaga fight, and then the All Might versus Gnome fight, right? This one is super similar. The hand scenes, the punches, the rapid fire punches, the change of camera angle, very similar. Just kind of cool to see, you know, a big anime paying respect to another big anime. But I can't lie, the one I appreciated way more is the links that they did between Gon and Yuji. I'm a big Hunter x Hunter fan, so when I saw this research in this video, I thought this was sick. Quickly, spoiler warning, if you haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, it's a peak show, I'd recommend it, but to be fair, it has been up for 10 years. But basically, the first one is when Gon is going, you know, Super Saiyan, and he's about to kill Pito. That punch looks basically the same as when Yuji's about to punch Maito. It's the same kind of charge up, the same like hunched over, same motion, right? And it's also like really cool because both these characters are killing like probably the person who pissed them off the most in the show, potentially, at least up to that point. I mean, Yuji you could argue differently, but him and Maito had an ongoing beef, and Gon obviously hated Pito. And the reason why that's so cool is because their infamous crash out is also the same. When Yuji fucking crashes out on Maito after he kills Junpei, it looks the exact same to when Gon loses it after Pito kills Kai. So yeah, like I said, this one I really liked. Gon and Yuji collab I think is sick, and it's also cool just to see Mappa taking inspiration from a goated anime like Hunter x Hunter. Now, moving on to season 3, probably the most iconic one is obviously Maki Kill Bill. This one is just sick. I mean, what can I say? From the black and white to like just the combat to just everything about it is just very cool. It's just very nice to see Gege pay homage to, you know, one of like the best Western movies, you know. So yeah, very cool. And I mean, she even does the 1-inch punch, which I think is just sick as well. Also from season 3, we have the Hikari episode, which was heavily inspired by Fight Club. To start off, they used a very similar dialogue, which is, you know,
the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
ここでやってる掛け試合に出場させてくれ。
ルールその1、クラブについて口にしてはならない。
Side note, Megumi doesn't even flinch. Bro's got too much aura. But just also the concept of it, right? Hikari's running this underground fight club thing. You know, it's obviously very similar to the Fight Club movie and what they're doing there. So yeah, this one was very cool. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy this, then please check out my last video where I ranked every single Jujutsu Kaisen episode based off its 25,000 frame.